On a freezing night in 1893, a 24-year-old Indian lawyer, armed with a ticket, dressed like an Englishman, was thrown off a South African train for refusing to move to third class. That moment did not just shatter his pride, it triggered the movement that would drive the British out of India and inspire non-violent revolutions worldwide. This is the story of how history turned on a single, humiliating ride. June 7, 1893. The train grinds to a stop at Pietermaritzburg just after dark. Gandhi sits upright in his first-class seat, ticket in hand, the wool of his English suit pressed against the compartment's stiff upholstery. A white passenger glares, then calls the conductor. Railway officials step in, faces set, voices clipped. They ignore the ticket, ignore the suit, ignore the calm English Gandhi speaks. Their orders are simple: move to the third-class van or get off. He refuses. He has paid for this seat, followed every rule. That does not matter. Two men seize him by the arms and force him down the steps, out onto the platform, luggage left behind. The doors slam shut. The train pulls away, its engine fading into the night, leaving Gandhi standing alone under the hard glare of station lamps. Winter in the Natal Highlands bites through his thin jacket. The temperature hovers near freezing, his overcoat locked away with his bags. The waiting room offers little comfort. A dark, unfamiliar space, a single white man inside, silent and unsmiling. Gandhi sits on a hard bench, shivering, his pride and body equally exposed to the cold. Every minute stretches. He is not just denied a seat, he is denied belonging, denied dignity, denied the right to exist on equal terms. The officials who ejected him remain nameless, faceless enforcers of a rule that needs no law, only custom. By 9 p.m., the station is nearly empty. Gandhi is left with nothing but the chill, the humiliation, and the long hours until dawn. Before that night in Pietermaritzburg, Mohandas Gandhi was not a symbol of defiance or a voice for the oppressed. He was a 24-year-old lawyer, recently called to the bar in London in 1891, who had come home to Bombay full of hope and found only disappointment. In his first case, he froze before the judge, words caught in his throat, arguments unspoken, and Gandhi left the courtroom humiliated, his confidence badly shaken. Letters from those years hint at embarrassment and self-doubt. He admitted to his father that he felt unfit for the profession, too timid to speak in public, and terrified of ridicule. When the offer from Dada Abdullah's firm in South Africa arrived, it was a lifeline. Gandhi accepted a one-year contract, picturing a brief escape and a chance to rebuild his reputation. He packed his English suits and adopted the manners he had learned in London, hoping that these outward signs would help him fit in. He was not a political man, not an activist, not even particularly brave, just a young professional trying to make good on his family's sacrifices. The first-class train ticket, the polished shoes, and the crisp collar were more than just travel essentials. They were proof to himself that he belonged, that he could claim the privileges he had worked so hard for. But beneath the careful dress and quiet manners ran a current of insecurity. Every setback in India had made him question his worth. The humiliation of being thrown off the train in South Africa cut deeper because it struck at the heart of his fragile self-image. This was not just about a seat or a ticket. It was about whether he would always be seen as an outsider, no matter how hard he tried to belong. By the summer of 1894, Gandhi had decided that personal resolve alone would not be enough. The discrimination he faced was not a single act but a system, one that demanded a collective answer. In Durban, he brought together local Indian merchants, clerks, and laborers to form the Natal Indian Congress. The organization's first meeting took place on August 22, 1894, in a modest hall, its members united by the shared experience of exclusion and insult. For the first time, Indian voices in South Africa had a formal platform to challenge the laws and customs that kept them in the margins. But organizing was only the beginning. Gandhi searched for a method that could confront injustice without violence or surrender. He began to shape an idea that would come to define his life's work. He called it Satyagraha, a Sanskrit phrase meaning truth force. The word did not exist before Gandhi coined it. Satyagraha was more than protest. It was the practice of refusing to cooperate with wrong no matter the cost, while holding fast to truth and nonviolence. It demanded discipline, courage, and a willingness to suffer for a principle rather than inflict suffering on others. Gandhi did not leave South Africa after a year as planned. He stayed for 21 years, turning the country into a testing ground for his new philosophy. Each petition, each public meeting, each letter to the editor became part of a deliberate experiment. The foundation was set, a movement with structure, a name for its method, and a leader who now believed that ordinary people could resist the machinery of oppression without raising a fist. August 16, 1908. In the heart of Johannesburg, a crowd gathers outside the Hamidiya Mosque. Gandhi stands at the front, flanked by community leaders and hundreds of supporters. In his hands, a stack of government-issued registration passes, each one a symbol of the new law demanding every Indian in the Transvaal carry a fingerprinted identity card. The crowd watches as Gandhi holds a single pass over a makeshift pyre. He lowers it into the flames. Others follow, feeding the fire with their own papers, the smoke curling into the winter air. The act is simple, but dangerous. Defiance in public can mean arrest. Police stand by, notebooks ready. By the end of the day, more than 2,000 men and women have risked jail rather than obey. Word spreads quickly. Arrests begin almost at once. Gandhi is among the first taken into custody, joined by merchants, clerks, laborers, and even students. Prison records from 1908 list over 2,000 names, a number that grows with each new protest. Newspapers print photographs of the burning passes, and the story travels far beyond South Africa. Inside the jails, Gandhi and his followers refuse special treatment. They wear prison uniforms, eat the same food as criminals, and accept hard labor. Letters smuggled out describe overcrowded cells and unbroken resolve. The authorities expect fear to break the movement. Instead, every arrest brings more volunteers to the cause. Gandhi's method, Satyagraha, proves its strength not in violence, but in the willingness to suffer for what is right. Ramachandra Guha would later call Peter Maritzburg the laboratory's first experiment. But here in Fire and Prison, the results become undeniable. The strategy works. The world pays attention. In March 1930, Gandhi set out from his ashram near Ahmedabad, walking at the head of a small group. Their goal was to reach the Arabian Sea, 240 miles away, and to break the British salt law by making salt from seawater. Each day the line of marchers grew. Farmers, laborers, students, and women in saris, who had never traveled far from home, joined in. Villagers swept the roads, scattered petals, and pressed food and water into tired hands. By the time they neared Dandi, thousands walked beside Gandhi, their feet caked in dust, their spirits lifted by purpose. The British law said only the empire could make salt. Gandhi's marchers said otherwise. The journey was more than a protest. It became a moving festival of defiance, uniting people from every corner of India. The old order watched as the powerless claimed their own authority step by step, mile by mile. Police and magistrates moved swiftly as the Salt March reached its destination. Gandhi was arrested before dawn on May 5, 1930. The jails filled with his followers, teachers, farmers, students, even entire families who lined up to be taken away. By the end of the campaign, nearly 60,000 people had been locked up, overwhelming the colonial system. Newspapers around the world printed photographs of women making salt by the sea and of crowds facing British batons without flinching. International headlines called it a moral earthquake. Historian Judith Brown writes that the Salt March transformed Gandhi's South African tactics into a national force, exposing the empire's weakness for all to see. The world's attention landed on one man and the idea he carried from a cold station platform decades before. Today, nonviolent resistance remains a blueprint for movements from Hong Kong to Black Lives Matter. Gandhi's refusal to yield did not just end an empire. It proved that dignity, once claimed, can ripple across generations. One act of defiance still shapes how the world confronts injustice. Thank you for watching.